Hi, George. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Got some good content, I hope, here. Let's just see. Just wait for people to sign in. I was a bit late. I hope to see you soon, by the way, in a couple of weeks when I go to Omaha.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that, Michael.
Well, that's the state of the markets, I think, that hardly anyone's turned up. Just goes to show. I'll just wait another minute or so.
The horizon line is straight, and that the composition is exactly what I'm.
Let me just mute this. Okay. Yeah. So I had a bit of a topic that I want to talk about. I don't know why so few people turned up, but anyway, I suppose that's the state of the markets. Risk off. People don't want to invest. So I will go through why I kind of decided to sell Celestica. You know, I always say I will hold the stock for 12 months, and I follow this quite religiously. And I broke this rule because I wanted to get to $45 a share, and I felt that at that point the valuation would be approximately 24 times forward free cash flow. So if the business was growing at approximately 15%, I felt that this valuation didn't see a lot more upside. So I have to think about that, and you know, it's about making the decisions not to kind of be complacent. And often we kind of we feel good when the stock is performing well, particularly in a down market. So I kind of had to think about that, and it's making difficult decisions, you know, when you. And as I look back over this journey with Celestica, when I recommend that stock, a short time later went through earnings season for that stock, and on that day the stock was barely unchanged. The results looked okay to me, but the market was just like not interested. A couple of days later, momentum started to build up, and then it took off. But it's really, really important when it comes to investing, you know, to have some critical thinking, because so often we kind of led by the market into kind of you know, having this kind of horizon where everything is okay, you know, the market is agreeing with me. And in my experience, I find that, you know, you just can't rest ever, you know, in the market. You just can't rest. So it's better to get ahead of the market and act rather than kind of, you know, look at the market for direction. And I'll add to that a lot of investors kind of, whether it's retail investors or professional investors or hedge funds or whatever, it's all this kind of human nature of going from being like indecisive, oh, you know, it kind of feels like whatever, to kind of full out FOMO. It's like, let's go, like everything's green, let's go, let's invest. And you know, even on this earnings call, this is like a complete representation of that when the market is like really excited, people are like, oh, I want to go, I want to invest and this and that. But when the markets sell off, people are like, you know, and I don't want that. I want to get ahead of that. So that's why I sold Celestica. If anyone wants to ask me any questions about why I sold Celestica particularly, I'm happy to discuss this. I'll just kind of open it up, and if someone wants to ask any questions about that. Okay. So the other topic that I have is I kind of named it kind of to be a bit kind of jarring. I've named it kind of outlasting the pain. And the way I see this is that investing goes through seasons. There's always going to be a season for this and a season for that. And the work that we put in as investors is to make sure we have enough earning power to retire. That's really what we're trying to deploy, our savings, so that those savings retain as much earning power in the future and hopefully more. So when it comes to investing, the hard work that you put in is to overcome these periods. When the market is selling off and everyone's like, oh, like what's going on in the market, sells, like people go crazy. So the work that you put in, and I come and I speak about this every single Tuesday, and I say, and for a long time, like like in January and February, this conversation was utterly pointless. And I'd come here and I'd say, there's going to be a time when the markets are not going to be in favor. There's going to be a time when tech will fall out of favor. It might seem impossible to imagine now, but there will be a time. And it was nonsense. Like nobody cared. It was like no, people weren't interested. But now, that's the work that we've put in is for now, like how to navigate this period.
Hello, this is Steve.
We've
He's been
like,
one of the nurse practitioners over in the pre-op clinic at Northwestern.
how to navigate this period with good fortitude and with a peace of mind. While I recognize that every stock that I recommend within my service, ultimately the people buying it on the other side are responsible and are accountable for those stocks. I recognize that, and they need to be able to kind of sleep well with those stocks at night. It's the kind of the pillow factor. You need to kind of be able to buy the stock and be able to sleep and not have kind of loss of sleep over it. I'm also adding my experience that I've seen these cycles and I've seen how it is that everything is bad one moment and everything is good one moment. And the work that I put in is to help people understand. Now, not every stock in my portfolio will have the pillow factor for you, and not every stock you want to buy. And conversely, there are stocks that you might want to own and I'll like, oh my God, I don't want to own that. So it's important that it reflects your personality, but it's also important that it's like the seasons of the year. There are times for picking the fruit and there's time for laying down the groundwork. And I think that the really important periods in investing is not when everything is going to the skies. And it's very often the case that there's a lot of excitement when there's money to be made. And when markets take a breather, it's like, oh my God, it's like, I don't care about stocks. And I recognize that, but it's really important to put in the work right now. And here are some three practical aspects that I'm going to lay out. And in these are three topics that I think help me in my framework to invest. So first things first, it's a topic that's everlasting is, you don't want to have too concentrated an investment portfolio. And by that, I mean, a person can have 30 stocks, but they're all kind of, let's say, tech stocks, they're all AI stocks, and that's not being diversified. Now, I don't necessarily believe that you need to have, let's say, a gold mine and some kind of a REIT or something. I don't believe that's extreme either. So I believe that a person should keep some liquid cash in their account, in the bank account, so that they can last the next at least 18 months. And after that, when you invest, you recognize that everybody has a dream, when it comes to investing. Everyone wants to make money. But for me, it's really important that I said, this year in 2024, I am responsible for driving an equally weighted portfolio up 15%. I'm going to do that. And I have to think about that, right? So if I want to get an outperformance relative to the market, you can't have too diversified a portfolio. So you need to be quite selective. And that is making a lot of unpopular choices. You know, sometimes when the market goes on risk off sentiment, and I have, let's say, a small cap stock like Auster, man, that timing was awful. I kind of recommend that, and the stock fell down. But then I was kind of looking back, and I look back at some of my other stocks like Uploving that I was saying, okay, Uploving was dead money for 6 months. For 6 months, man, that stock was like the most boring thing going. And I stuck to my framework. I didn't kind of follow the cues of the market that this was boring, even though everyone was like AI. It was like those people going bananas about that. I stuck to my framework, and now obviously Uploving's doing really well, and people are like, "Oh, Uploving's great, yeah." But you have to have a framework. You have to think really hard and put the process. You have to really love the process of investing and being reflective, and above all, being really, really selective in what you're deploying your capital into. So back to Auster, I believe very much that this is going to be something that I will look back and say, okay, buying Auster $10 like was a good investment to make, but when in the very, very short term, things sometimes don't work out. And I look at Palantir, and I recommended Palantir in February 2023. And from February 2023 into May, that stock was down about 23, 24%. And I felt like an absolute loser, man. I was like, oh God, like what kind of losers recommending Palantir $10? And everyone's like, oh my God, stock-based compensation. People were going absolute bananas about this. And I was like, okay, but I believe that they're going to make sufficient free cash flow that it will put away all these problems. And now it's kind of working out, and people are like, oh yeah, okay, now, yeah, like obviously, like every stock, no stock since the dawn of time goes up in a straight line, right? You have moments where things go up and then they kind of sell off. And it's testing, it tests your mind, and it tests you as an investor in what you're really trying to accomplish. But this is part of the process. When I was talking before about like loving the process, you have to be quite resilient in what you're trying to do. And for me, just to conclude here, the way that I've tried to do this process is I think to myself, I've got no way out, right? I am trying to compound at 15%. There is no other exit. There's no other way that I'm going to accomplish the retirement that I want unless I do that. So it's kind of like when people, like I like to read like history books and stuff like that. And when the Vikings would go and kind of get onto another island, they would, burn off all the vessels. So there was no way out. That you go with that mentality that there is no way out. And once you think that there's no way out, it really cements the hard work that you're putting in, because you have to really, really selective when it comes to investing. And you don't want to be too concentrated, but at the same time, you don't want just anything to be in the portfolio. You need to be really hard working and selective. So yeah, that's all I have for today. I'm happy to kind of add some Q&A. If people want to ask me some questions about some stuff or about my process, yeah, I'm opening it up now if anyone wants to ask any questions.
Is there, I have a question, well, at least one. Do you subscribe to anything that gives you assistance? For example, I think it was on Kramer last night. I think it was called Market edge oscillator, which gives a number of if the market is too bullish or too, it is like a bad time to buy.
Mhm.
Do you have that or any other tools that you subscribe to help you in your decision?
So the easy answer is no, I do not. I never have, and no, I do not. What I like about certain type of these types of oscillators is that the market has been kind of pulling back for about, I'd say about 2 weeks, so it's kind of been kind of selling off, and it adds a bit of, let's say, quote unquote science to it, like, oh, the market is overbought, therefore it's going to sell off. But this is after the fact. So when it was October of 2022, everywhere I listened, October 2022, it was like the market is going to go for the next leg of the sell-off. Expect 30% down from there. Everywhere, man, I mean, absolutely, it was ubiquitous. And I kind of look back and that would have been a really good time to be an investor right then, because that was like the lows of this cycle. So we kind of add a story to the share price, but it's not about trying to time stocks. Is the time with the stocks that I think is really, really important. Yeah, so in short, not really, no.
I see that you're very consistent, and I think that is a wonderful discipline that you have, and that's what works. I think there are different theories and techniques, and I think consistency, because this one technique will work and this technique might work,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if you start mixing them left and right, then probably going to be in trouble.
I couldn't agree more. There are many ways to skin a cat. Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. And I have to go with my vision of what I'm trying to accomplish. And I spend a lot of time reading about biographies and stuff like that. And you see, like, whether it's like Steve Jobs was like trying to perfect his vision of the phone, or whether it's Thomas Edison or whatever, a lot of these people, they kind of become obsessed with their process, whatever the process is. They kind of become obsessed. Like, you look at someone like Leonardo da Vinci, like obsessed with trying to measure people's human bodies and how he could replicate this in art. And it's that level of obsession that makes you be very self-reflective. So it's quite a short feedback loop when something is not working, because you can see it. It's like, did I step outside of my framework? There are many different ways to invest, and there's many different people say many different things. But I am I am continuously trying to grow as an investor, and I say this every time, that you need the portfolio to mirror your personality. But as the portfolio grows, you need to grow as a person as well. And you need to have an open mind to listen to things. But at the same time, if the process that you're following is working, you kind of, okay, this is working. For now, I'm happy with staying with this process.
Thank you.
Okay. Unless anyone else wants to ask anything, I think we'll wrap it up there. Okay. Thank you so much, George. Thank you. See you soon.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Michael. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye.
Michael.
Bye.